Alright, so today I've got another AC build for you guys, but it's a little different from my usual stuff. This isn't an NPC upgrade build or a cosplay build or even one of my IO series. This is simply a build I played through a campaign run on stream and I liked it quite a bit. Not enough to make part of my IO series, but I enjoyed it a lot. And it also kind of made me get used to some things I'm not normally used to using very much. But basically, one day on stream after I finished the campaign run for a different build, I asked chat or build ideas, and someone I guess recommended doing a build based on a 13th century knight. Basically took the idea and went from it. Fortunately, it has to be a topic I'm fairly familiar with. I'm a big fan of medieval weapons and stuff, so I'm somewhat familiar with the kind of topics tangentially. But one thing I want to mention before I go any further, there's a mistake in the gameplay footage you see. You see me using the coral generator. I don't use the coral generator on this build normally. I don't even know how I got on there, but if you read the community post, you already know I kind of hurt my hand, and it hurts a bit to use a mouse too much right now, so I don't feel like kind of stressing out my hand anymore at the moment and re-recording the footage. It is what it is, sorry, but I'm not going to re-record it. But it doesn't make a big deal. But now let's get into kind of the details. So obviously, a knight, 13th century, would definitely be on horseback and would be taking more of a commander role on the battlefield, right? And weapon-wise, we're looking at lances, swords, shields, right? Basically. Is kind of what we're looking at. So obviously the laser lance and a shield is kind of going to be an obvious thing for like a primary loadout. I do have two main loadouts I use on this build, which I'll get into details of later. But obviously the laser lance is a mainstay on all of these. Because again, very typical weapon the lance was for knights during the time period. And then for other stuff other than shields, of course, we kind of leaned more into commander aspect of being a knight, right? So I decided to allow things like missile launchers and things like drone type weapons, right? Because essentially kind of simulate being on the call in archer fire, or in the case of needle missile launcher, be on the call in ballista fire, right? But no kind of like direct damage dealing weapons other than the lance, right? Now, other than that, this build kind of taught me, or kind of made me get used to a lot of things I'm not normally used to using, specifically kicking, right? I feel like this is the build where I really started actually using kicks kind of semi-regular in my gameplay, even if I still don't use them enough. This build really made me learn how to properly utilize kicks, right? And it actually has kind of become one of the reasons I'm really starting to favor tetrapod legs over bipedal legs, honestly. I really, really enjoy them. But that's about all there is to say about it. I was going to get into the details again. There are two different primary loadouts I have for this build. One is meant mostly for like standard gameplay, and the other is meant for bosses, right? But yeah, let's get into it. And we'll also take a quick look at the paint screen if you care about it. Now for the paint job, I went really simple here. There's no decal paint or anything build, and for the color scheme, I basically just kind of went with kind of like my standard like favorite colors with more silver than I would normally do, right? So like a black and then purple for the energy color. Now I'm not going to be including a share code for this build because there's no decal painting or anything. I don't really feel like it's worth my time to bother with it, but I will include a list of like the RGB values for you if you want to, kind of replicate this build look one for one, right? And yeah, that's really all there is to say about the paint job. Go ahead and move on to the actual assembly. Now, I already explained in the intro why I've limited myself to the weapon types that I have, but I want to go over my specific choices, and I also want to go ahead and reiterate that I do have two different loadouts I use on this build. One for more sort of generic mission gameplay, more generic PvE, and then another one for more like AC duels and boss fights, right? Now going over the more generic build, first we've got the handheld missile launcher. This is kind of my, the handheld missile launchers are really my only option here, the right hand unit, based on what I've limited myself to. But for my generic one, I've gone for the P19 MLT-04 because this is the only option with multi-lock, and I wanted a better way to kind of deal with sort of trash-like enemies, like, when there's like bigger, those little helicopters and stuff like that. I wanted more options to deal with those in a just easier way, right? So I went for this because, again, it's the only one with multi-lock. Now for the left arm unit, I've already mentioned why we're using the laser lance in the intro, but just to go over it, it's the most knightly, like, appropriate weapon, and it's really good. What else more is to say? Now for the right back unit, I've gone for the bullet orbit. Now, this, other than just being kind of like the best sort of drone orbit type weapon, in my opinion, it's just really good in general. It does really good impact build up. It even does decent damage. Just really, really good. It does have pretty limited ammo, which is kind of its biggest downside. It just runs out of ammo really, really quickly. but while you are using it, it is very, very strong, right? And then for the left back unit, of course, being a knight, we've got a shield, and I've gone for the pulse shield, the SUR8. Main reason here is this was just kind of most like generically good all the time with no like massive drawbacks, right? It doesn't have particularly good instant guard duration, but I'm not really that worried about instant guarding since it's got pretty good damage mitigation and impact dampening all around, right? It's a really nice consistent shield. Now I would have considered using the coral shield, but it's really energy intensive for the build, and I just didn't want to change it to get more energy, right? So I just decided to stick with pulse shield. Honestly, I'll be honest, I don't really use shields that much. So I probably don't use this as well in this build as I should, but you know, it is what it is. And that's it for the generic loadout. Now moving on to the more like for the AC dual boss loadout, the siege missile launchers, and on the back I use 2 needle missile launchers. This right here is sort of my standard loadout. So basically this is just kind of the best single target missile launcher for handheld. And then the needle missiles kind of being, you know, the catapult or ballista, I mean, sort of representation of the knight's orders. They're just really good weapons, right? They do tons of damage. They do tons of impact. Really, really, really strong. Even after the nerf, they're still incredibly strong weapons. And yeah, just really, really good. And that's really all there is to say about it, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and move on. I'll get to my frame part choices. Going to be honest, except for the arms, pretty much everything was chosen appearance-wise, but let's get into it. Now first, for the head part, using the VE44A. Now kind of the prompt that was given on stream was 13th century knight, and around the time period, I'm quite sure that the bucket helmet was something you would really see a lot, at least in certain regions. And this is kind of a very bucket helmet-like, you know, head. So that's the main reason I went for this head. It's also just really good. It's got good attitude ability. It's got good defensive stats. It's a pretty good head all around, right? So, you know, mostly appearance-wise, but it just also happens to be good stat-wise, right? Now, for the core, we're going for the Mind Alpha core. This kind of has the most generically, like, plate armor-looking core to me. I just think it looks pretty much about perfect, right? It's a decent core all around. It's got decent attitude ability. It's got good defensive stats. Got good, you know, energy stats as well. The booster efficiency isn't the best, but it's got good generate output supply. Pretty good core all around. And for the arms, we've gone for the Basho arms. Now, we don't need firearm specialization at all for this build. The only thing we care about is melee specialization. And the Basho arms has so much more melee specialization than any other option in the game. Even though I'm not a huge fan of it appearance-wise, it's legitimately so much extra damage in the laser lance that I just couldn't not use it, right? So this one is definitely all about the stats. It's just that good, right? And then finally, for the legs, the tetrapod Varel legs. So obviously, being a knight on a horse, tetrapod legs were the obvious choice. So between this or the you know, 424 legs, and these are just, they take too much energy. What can I say? And obviously, I could have changed my generator and used this if I really want to, but I just don't think this looks that good, right? I just feel like the rest of the parts just don't match it at all. I think this just looks way, way better, especially for that more, you know, knightly look. Way, way better in my opinion, and that's the main reasoning. So yeah, that's really all there is to say about the frame parts. It really is mostly just about appearances, except for the Basho arms. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on into the internals. And looking at the internals real quickly, first let me say there was a mistake in the previous parts of the video. I had the wrong SES on. You know, I mentioned the intro that I accidentally recorded with like some of the wrong internals, including a wrong generator. This was left over from that. I was like half asleep at that time, right? And sorry about that, but it's fixed now. I've got the right FCS on now. But first, the booster, right? Now, I'm using the NGI 001. This is a chunky build, and I need a booster that can support that, obviously. And the NGI 001 is kind of best in class in that regard. And it's also got good melee attack thrust as well, which is really, really nice for this build to give you that extra range with the lance, or even your hand if you decide to purge your missile launcher and just use your fist, right? The, you know, good extra range on the lance, and just good for heavy builds all around. I do go a little bit over the base 0.63 quick boost reload time to 0.68, but that's not a big deal, right? Now, for the FCS, you should not be using the Talbot like I had earlier, but the P10 SLT FCS. Main reason, none of the assist stats matter all, really. I mean, I guess you could maybe matter a little bit for the lance. I'm not actually sure if it really matters at all. But obviously you want good missile lock correction and decent multi-lock correction as well for the other version of the build. But definitely you want really high missile lock correction for the build to make, especially for this, weapon loader right here, to make the true NOs and the aperitif log on faster, right? Now for the generator, I've gone for the sand type. I like really high generator or high energy capacity generators, and the sand type's pretty good all around. I do, again, generally prefer over like the core generator, and I could use the core generator, and this would give me more wiggle room with what I wanted to do in terms of loadout here. But again, I really prefer regular generators over the core generators if I can use them. And since I could get away with using the sand tie in this build, that's what I went for, right? And yeah, that's the main reason. Now for the expansion, I've gone for pulse armor just to be, put up a shield like a knight would. That was my only reasoning. I hardly ever use it. But yeah, that's about all there is to say about the build. If you want to see some more gameplay footage, stick around for a minute. And yeah, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. And also, I don't feel like I don't say it enough. I stream every other day, opposite day of the videos come out. Come hang out in the stream. I'll catch you guys later.
Code 7-8.
Target destroyed. Our work here is done, 6-2.
Raven, I'm picking up something in the stratosphere. It's approaching fast.
I've identified PCA SP, Special Forces. We can't afford to take chances. 6-2-1, eliminate them. Vector Warrior, PCA SP machines. They're highly mobile executioners for priority targets, piloted by the PCA's elites. Focus on one at a time.
Code 3 went sharp. Headed it down. Roger. Proceeding as planned.
One PCAS craft destroyed.
We're not done yet. Stay focused, 6-2-1.
Out. Run. Lead back to the boy.
Both PCASP craft destroyed.
I'm sure our paymasters planned for that too. They got their walking advertisement all right.
System activating combat mode.
Raven, that's one of the ramjet engines. Please, destroy the target. Core chamber is silent. Starboard chamber is silent. Walter, but that AC.